Okay, so I figured it out. Okay, done a bunch of research, talked to them, we're talking to our partners. This is how we're gonna win.
Okay.
This is how we win the whole thing. So Kamala Harris.
Hey, guys, Charles, Binh, where you been, man? Where you been?
Hi, David.
I got an idea. Whatever, man. I'll get back to this. We'll get back to this.
Wait. Okay.
What? We'll get back to that, okay?
Okay.
So I got an idea, all right? Well, I've been looking all over Seattle for like weeks for you two, all right?
Okay.
Where in the world have you been for the last couple of weeks, all right?
You want to show them?
I can show you. Okay, so I've been actually practicing this, David. So this
Are you gonna draw a map?
I am.
United States this time, right?
But yeah, because
Okay.
I've been mapping it out with my body, physically, flying all over the place.
Okay.
Hurricane came through here.
Okay.
Right? I think that's what happened.
Are you gonna do the Trump circles? Is that what you're gonna do? Okay.
Hey, isn't that better?
Wait, what is this?
What is this exactly, okay?
That's Texas. Hurricane.
Florida
Maine.
kind of comes down here a little bit.
Yeah,
Oh, I forgot Florida. I forgot Florida.
You wiped, okay, I understand that's a Freudian slip. You wiped Florida out,
Florida.
okay?
I straight up forgot Florida. I was like Georgia. Starts here.
Okay.
You're a good liberal, and we understand. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway,
Where have you been?
just last weekend we were in
Where?
Pennsylvania.
No, that's not where Pennsylvania is.
It really
okay?
is. It really is.
No, it's not.
Michigan's
no,
up here.
No, it's not. Okay? Pennsylvania is over here.
No way.
It's on the Atlantic Ocean.
That's New York.
No, fine, Pennsylvania, but it's on the Atlantic.
Okay,
Michigan is right here, not
I'm
over there,
close enough,
okay?
close enough.
Okay, that's where you've been?
Okay, Michigan, Pennsylvania. I know you've been in Arizona, right,
Arizona.
Charles?
Yep. Ooh, okay.
That's
All
pretty
right.
good.
That's pretty good.
Texas,
Yeah.
McAllen, Texas.
Yeah, that's an easy one,
Yeah.
okay?
Leah's been hopping the same. He's been doing
Okay.
PA.
Where's
Arizona.
Wisconsin?
Right next to Michigan.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Okay, all
Yeah,
right,
there
all
we go.
right.
But I
Okay.
was not in Wisconsin. That was like weeks and weeks
No,
ago.
where have you been? Where have we were there.
Okay.
We collectively.
Um.
Ohio?
Where's
Oh
Ohio?
God, this is hard.
Where's Ohio?
It's the Midwest.
I
I know because I know this because
It's not bad. It's not bad. Okay.
North Carolina.
You just lost Ohio for us.
Go ahead, you put the rest. Oh,
What?
okay. Ohio.
Okay, over
Okay,
there.
I don't know
North
about that.
Carolina's right here.
Yeah, that's
no,
good.
wait.
No, that's right. Because south is kind of like right in here.
Right.
Okay. So you've been here, and where's Montana?
Oh, right
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't realize
sure.
it was up there. When
Okay.
I went to Montana, I did not realize it was
All
up
right,
there.
so we also have teams in California doing work,
Yeah.
Washington
To do
State
work.
every weekend,
Nevada,
Nevada.
next to Arizona.
Where's Arizona? Right there?
No, it's
Okay.
right there. That's Arizona.
Okay, Nevada's
Okay.
a little higher. And then New York.
Somewhere
Oh, right in there, yeah.
No, he was like Pennsylvania and New York.
All right, okay. So this is where we've been. Well, okay, so what is your idea?
Yeah, the idea. I'm going to put it up here, okay?
Okay.
Because it refers to
There we go.
the last stretch of this campaign.
Okay.
The final
Okay.
stretch is what we're
All
calling
right.
it.
All right.
Okay. Don't wipe it off yet.
You know what?
No,
You-
not yet.
you
Not
like
yet.
the maps?
Because
Okay.
the serious dimension of this particular podcast is to give some serious praise and attention to this incredible fieldwork program that these two folks and others have built. All right. So we start with this map. Some would call it a map. We start with this map, and we just note the different places we've been. So let's just go back and say 6 to 9 to 12 months ago. You had to decide to go all these places, right?
Mm-hmm.
Charles,
Yeah.
and everybody else. You had to pick all these places. You make all the strategy involved.
That's
You have to build the partner relationships in all of these places, right? You have to get team leads for every one of these places.
Mm-hmm.
How many team leads per state?
Anywhere between 3 to 4.
Okay, and then you have to like advertise it. You have to convince people to put down money to travel with us. This is a grand endeavor,
Yeah.
and I have been amazed at how good a work that we've all done. I mean, I got a text right here, phone text this morning from somebody who was on the Michigan trip. All right. And they were telling us about how great that experience was in Michigan. And they didn't come with doubt, but they just came with uncertainty.
Yeah.
Right? They came with uncertainty.
They didn't know.
And it's just like anybody says, when somebody says to you, this food is really great, and you're like, okay, I'll try it. But you're like, I'm gonna try it,
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna figure it out myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So an awful lot of people are trying CP this year for the first time for our field work, right?
Yeah, and it's brand new to them, and they don't understand, one, how it works and how effective it is, but two, they don't understand how it came to be and who are the people behind the scenes that made it, that made this system.
So that's what I want to do in this podcast is Charles and I to highlight a little bit of the work that Binh Trong is doing. And so I don't know how many of you all know Binh very well. If you've been out in the field, you've undoubtedly seen her, or if you've been involved in the fieldwork space. But if you've been over in education with the institute or something like that, maybe you haven't seen Binh that much. Or if you've been a supporter of Common Power, you missed the time when Binh came through that, which was a while ago. All right. So here's what I want to say right now, and then Binh, you're going to kind of take it from here, okay? Sure. Is Binh represents the best of CP. All right, she came in, she helped to build Action Academy, then has stuck with us. She got multiple offers to go elsewhere, and she stuck with us, all right?
And told us every 6 months that she was leaving.
Exactly, right, we had to recruit Binh multiple times, okay? And the primary recruit's been Charles, the primary recruit's been Charles, and then you stuck around and you decided to do this work with us. So real quick Binh anecdote, you were doing a Fulbright in Austria, right?
Yes.
A Fulbright. Flashback in time.
Yeah, 2020.
2020?
Yep.
And you were getting all these questions about Trump in America, right? So can you just give us a little insight into your mindset?
Okay, back then?
Yeah, and then and how it's led you to be with CP.
Sure. Okay, so I went to school to become a foreign service officer. Like, I always thought about policy, and I was always very interested in policy and governing, but it has always with this international lens, and that's what led me to the Fulbright in the first place, right?
Through UW, you were at UW, right?
I was at UW, yeah. Jackson School, shout out, you went there. And it was with this mission of cultural exchange, so like working across cultures and difference, even all the way back then. And I was in this classroom, I was an English teaching assistant in Austria, Salzburg, and my students were like, I don't get it. I don't get you Americans. I don't get why you can elect someone like Trump to like be your leader, right? Like, why do you have horrible healthcare? What do you mean that you have to wait 3 months to see a doctor?
Yeah.
Like, and all of these other things that really came into question of like, well, what are we doing actually, right? And am I someone who would like to do something about it or just to talk about it?
And this was like January, February 2020.
No, yeah, this was like in end of 2019 through 2020.
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID,
Right.
COVID happened,
Mm-hmm.
and then I came back here, and then Action Academy landed on my lap, and I was like, $1,000 sounds great during a pandemic, and I did it, and then it changed my life.
Okay, all right, and so we recruited you in Action Academy,
Yep.
largely won you over
Yep.
in Action Academy, and then you slowly moved into fieldwork. I remember that the big thing we did for Warnock, it was like 30,000 postcards or whatever.
After
She was a
2020
part of
runoff.
it in 2020.
Yeah.
She was a part of that.
Yeah, I was
that
just talking
group.
to somebody about that yesterday.
Really?
On Facebook after that runoff or during that runoff, all kinds of people were sharing how they've worked on the postcards. There are thousands of
Yes.
postcards, right?
Yeah.
So she was a key part of that. So
I need to come
You
in.
need to come into frame.
yeah, they
Tiny
can't see
little
it.
window.
It is. So it's tight because we're gonna do some more whiteboard stuff. So now you run fieldwork, and I think when we talk about young people running things, I think we tend to like glom them together. I think sometimes when they hear a young person's running something, it's like they're leading a meeting. But you run fieldwork as a department, and I think we need to make that very real on this whiteboard. What does that look like? Who do you have on your team? How big is your team? And then we can talk about what are you responsible for, and then what does the future look like? Because it is about the final stretch.
I really want to ask you to do that, and so we've set this up so you could walk us through this, because it's complicated and I'd love everybody to see it. But also, all that matters at this point, 3 weeks to go, 2.5 weeks to go, is our ability to mobilize voters. It's all that matters. And so the final stretch has a double meaning. It's about the last part of the campaign, and it's also about our ability to stretch to fund these folks. And the reason we keep asking for funds, what we call treasure, is because we've got more demand for our services and more people we could send out there than we ever expected at this point, right?
Yeah, I just got a new request for us to do something in Colorado, which is not a state that we're in, but we're seriously looking into how we mobilize for that.
And the Nebraska Senate race might be out there for us, right?
Nebraska Senate, and then there's everything that we know is coming, but we don't know the size of it that is post-election. And I mean like right after election
Or on
day,
election day.
or on election day evening, where we start curing ballots, where we start responding to the needs of our partners on the field. The size of that is not something that's as easy to understand as how many teams we put out on the field.
That's why I am always asking, and that's why we are always requesting this, not because we didn't budget well, because we actually have been so successful that more folks want us to come. And so I want everybody on this podcast, on the WITHCP podcast, to understand the vision and the wisdom that you two and others in Fieldwork have built. Because for me to have integrity as somebody who asks for money all the time, I gotta really believe in the product. I gotta really, really believe in the product. And I believe with all of my soul in our Fieldwork.
Yeah.
Right? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So can you tell us how it works, Ben?
Yeah. So let's draw the line really quickly here. It's not enough to send a bunch of volunteers out there. Like, volume is a part of it, but volume is not all of it, right? Because if anybody knows working with hundreds and hundreds of people, if that volume is not controlled or trained in some way, then it's just overflows.
Yeah.
And that's actually what the Dems are dealing with right now, with an overflowing amount of volunteers who are untrained and unorganized.
That's great.
And
You're seeing that, like, that's the issue out there nationally,
exactly,
right? Tons of volunteers.
Tons of volunteers just popping up like mushrooms after rain. You know, they're just like, I'm here. What do I do?
In the wrong places.
In the wrong places.
In the places where they're not strategic.
Right.
They're like, hey, I'm here to help.
Yes.
And you're like,
and
you're
tell
not
me how to help. And then it's like, you're not actually helping. You're just more on my plate, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've heard over the last 3-4 weekends is how organized we are.
Yes.
People who have never done this work before, people who have done this work with other organizations or have done it with us over the years, have just commented that this is incredibly organized. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for pointing us in the right spot for the most impact.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm hearing that from supporters and new people all the time. And I don't know where I was looking for the
Yeah, where's the eraser?
Where's the eraser?
Here it is. Here's the eraser.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we know that in institutional leadership, someone that can draw the org chart, the only people that can really draw are the ones that have built the dang thing and understand it at their depth. So Ben is going to, in live real time, is going to draw the
Fieldwork chart.
the Fieldwork org chart. And I'm pretty fired up to see this.
Okay, all right, y'all. So as I was saying, right, like our operations, we recruit a lot of volume. We can handle a lot of volume, but there's a lot of wraparound operations here to make sure that volume is controlled and directed in the right way. So we start with me. I'm right here, and then right under that, here's my direct team. So the people in green are the people that you might know as Common Power staff, full-time employees, right?
Okay.
That are in the Fieldwork department. We got Maria, nope, I'm not gonna do that there, that's a little bit. We have, I did this wrong. I did this a little wrong. Okay, more room, there we go.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so we got Puya over here, and then we have Maria, and then we have Jessica, right? And if you know Puya, you know him in the state teams capacity. So this man runs the state teams program. Like, a lot of our team leads.
Puya's what, 22 years old, 23 years old?
Going on
20.
Going on 40.
Going on 40. Yeah, he's an
going
old
on
man.
40.
He's an
Yes.
old man. But yeah, so Puya's directly responsible for state teams, and then the team leads kind of go like this up to him. All right, and then we have Maria, who does the Washington work, the bulk of our Washington work, as well as Pader. And then she and Jessica handles our volunteer trainers and training.
Okay, step aside just for a second so we can see this real good.
Yep, cool. All right, and then Jessica over
Okay,
here.
so Puya does teams. This
Yep.
is where everyone does field work. They sign up for teams.
Right,
This
out of
is-
state Fieldwork, yeah.
Out of state Fieldwork.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. And then these are team leads who report into him. There are like 50 of them.
There's 50 of them, yeah.
50 of them.
50
Yep.
team leads
Okay.
that run across race and age. And there's Action Academy students in there. There's educators from the
Educators.
Institute.
Mhm.
And there's a bunch of volunteers that have been with us for a while.
We're just slowing you down a little bit.
Of
Because
course.
in the teaching here, when people are getting new, they're hearing this for the first time, we want them to like be able to
Of
process
course.
Yes.
all this.
That's
right?
good, yeah, because I've drawn this a lot. I was like, I'm just gonna move through. That's
Okay,
really good.
so Maria,
Mm-hmm.
she does Washington State because this is her home state.
Yep.
And it's every weekend we've been doing for the past like couple
Yes.
months. She's been
And-
leading teams out
And
there.
it's a very steady and strong trip. It's
Yeah.
like 10, 12, 15 people every weekend.
Yeah, so this is
Yeah.
these are all the ones on the map. This is Washington, heavy up on Yakima,
Yep.
and Marie Glusenkamp Perez, which is the
Vancouver.
biggest national race that we have in Washington State.
Correct.
Yeah. Poder is our Latinx focus,
Yep.
and that is strong community ties and also volunteers that then go into some of these places
Yeah.
with Latinx speakers. Maria's in charge of that, and then Jessica does volunteer training with her.
With her, yeah. So they both share what we call top of the funnel pipeline. So
Yeah.
like that's your trainings, your trainers. That's the help inbox. So like if people have general questions, they process people coming into our system for the first time or at the beginning of it.
So Maria and Jessica would be some of the first people would meet if they're
Exactly.
new.
Yeah.
So if you're came in the last 3 months, you meet Maria and Jessica pretty quick.
Yeah, you would also meet the people who report into them.
Exactly.
So they've got these volunteer trainers. There are about a dozen of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're going to see these folks as well.
Exactly. So like the team leads here, volunteer trainers. This is kind of like the volunteer leads category if you really want to think about it like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Jessica does squats. Squats. She also does rotor reg. I will do this here, and then I'll come down and do squat leads down here. So Jessica is
Squads. What are squads?
Squads. They are a small group of individuals that gather regularly to take action with common power. It's a lot of times remote work, so you're thinking postcarding, text banking, phone banking instead of travel. But the goal of it is to introduce CP to your community. Right, so like bring a little bit of CP to organize your own friends, neighbors, family, etc.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got volunteering basically. You hop on a conveyor belt and we lead you through it, and then squads is on your own stuff.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So you have here. So like my team takes care of like the main lanes of programming in Fieldwork, right? Like you can see that right there. And then for all of this to actually float though, you have this other side of things, which is, I need a different color. I thought there was a blue.
There's a very light blue. That's okay.
I know, I'll do a brown. Okay, so we have this whole other, I'll go down a little further actually. Okay. So these are the Fieldwork contractors. Can I push this up a little?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
Okay. All right. So these are the Fieldwork contractors. You have Jenny. A lot of you know Jenny. If you've done any work with us in volunteer training or all of that, she's like behind the volunteer help inbox, and she's a very constant presence on Slack and in emails and communication with people. She's undeniable, and she reports directly to Maria. And then you have Nathania. There's no room to write everyone out.
Don't. Yeah.
But Sam, and then there's Lily, and then Vanessa, and then Leslie, kinda. But basically, these contractors are field operations. So you're talking about supporting team leads, right? Supporting trainings, providing workshops, doing all of our sponsorships on the back end, working with finance and operations to make sure everything is correct, processing receipts so that we're in line with regulations and compliance.
Super important.
Yes.
Yeah. So to pause on that part. So that's one of those like the complexities of our different entities, campaign finance, the limits that you can give money. Because we work across all the entities, even in Fieldwork, these folks make sure that all those things get reported regularly. It's a monthly report that you have to do on the FEC, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Let me jump in for a second.
Go ahead.
From our organization can't do that map that you drew with those hundreds of volunteers, thousands, can't do that without this team lead structure, without the volunteers trainers who prepare the volunteers, right? Team leads, volunteer trainers, and then these folks who are, except for Jenny, who seems to be kind of fairly visible, they're largely behind the scenes.
Exactly.
And they are, you said it already, but just to repeat, they are making sure that our money gets used the right way, right? They're making sure that our receipts get processed.
Yeah.
They're making sure that when we do in-kind work for the Bob Casey campaign in Pennsylvania, that we report that appropriately, right?
Yeah.
All of this right here, they don't do it without supervision, but it's essential that we have that. And that complexity actually is what makes the whole engine work.
Yeah.
And Charles, you have heard from lots and lots of people at high levels of politics that the complexity of our organization is beyond what most of them have seen.
Yeah. This is prohibitive. Actually, it's so complex, and this is just Fieldwork. So there's another operational thing. It's just finance. It is prohibitive to the point that people don't do this work. Actually.
Yeah. And my just statement to all of everybody who's might listen to this podcast is that the quality of our oversight of these dollars is excellent. It's excellent. We're in year 7. We've got this down now. By the way, all these folks came through Action Academy, right?
Almost all of them.
Almost all of them?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Okay, you just drew another thing up there.
Yeah, while you guys were talking, I was like, okay, let's do this next part. So obviously I report to Charles, and then a lot of people report to Charles, and one of them is David.
Everybody.
Everybody. Sorry, wrong words. Everybody reports to Charles, and David.
What
you
does
also
this say
report to
here?
Charles.
What does this say here?
Charles Douglas III.
Okay, all right. CD3, not CO3.
Yeah, it looks like CO3, like carbon trioxide or something. Okay.
That's CO3.
Okay.
CD3, Charles
Okay.
Douglas III.
All right, and then David, you're down here because of this, right?
Yeah.
And a part of what you're saying down here is like on the reporting side, the
Yeah.
compliance side. But one of the things that we want to point out is that no one works in Fieldwork for free. There is nobody that is doing unpaid labor in Fieldwork in this system. Everybody here is a contractor, and they're either hourly or they're on stipend. But that's all possible because of what you're raising. So it funds the back-end operations, but it also funds our team leads.
Yeah.
And the volunteer trainers that accept compensation.
Okay, can we, so because some people don't, so I think it's really
Right.
important that we mention why we pay people.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
some organizations only pay their, executive director or something, or just their officers. And then they rely on volunteers to do the engine.
Yeah.
Right.
And that is why many nonprofits have a lot of white older people who have excess time and can fund themselves to live
Right.
as their main workers.
Yeah, and that's why their operations are also inconsistent, because you can't depend on volunteers coming around all the time.
They have lives.
Exactly.
Right.
They've got other priorities, things happen, and they have to disappear for a little bit. So how do you build a system where you can build in consistency and also recruit people that have a wider range across race and age? How do you see organizations, nonprofit, volunteer organizations say, where are the young people? How do we find them? Or like they come to us and they're like, how'd you guys find all these young people? Well, I mean, we pay them.
them.
Yeah, that's like,
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
got to pay them for their
Yeah.
time. You've got to compete for talent. We've got talent here and talent on this whiteboard because we compete. And the way you compete in modern America is that you've got to pay people and you've got to give them something bigger to believe in, which is another thing that we do well.
Right. So just as an example of where the final stretch matters, let's say we added 2 more teams that we didn't have planned. Okay, we need more team leads.
Yeah.
Right? We need more team leads.
Right.
Those folks got to train the new volunteers that come in.
Yeah.
Right? Over here, we got some more receipts and things to process, all these kinds of things, right? Over here. So when I come to you folks and I say, we need more money, it's because we aren't asking anybody in here to do this for free.
Right.
Nobody. And ethically, would we want to? No, of course not. But you know what? It's what happens all the time. All the time.
And so we also have another thing that is a very real shift that's occurred as we've encountered more Republican and independent voters. And also the size of our teams has gone through the roof. It costs us money to assemble 200 people in Arizona on election day weekend.
Yeah.
Logistically, like physically, we're going to have to take those 200 people and break them up into different teams in different locations, different hotels, different rooms, and that costs us money.
2 team leads can't do that. You need 10 now.
Well,
or
you need,
something.
so you've got to reserve the room,
Yeah.
and you've also got to get more team leads. You've got to get more people who are traveling there. You also, we also do community really well out in the field. So we've got to reserve a space one night, every single trip. Common Power pays for dinner for the entire volunteer group all together.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's how you build community. That's how you get people on the
Yeah.
same message. We have speakers now that we have to fly out every single trip so we can speak to 200 people at one time. The other thing is, because the conversations are tougher, because we're driving further out into rural America to have some of get these swing voters.
Yeah.
It takes longer for us to sit with each other and work through that. There's more training involved.
Yeah.
We stood
Yeah.
up training, 202 training, out of the blue.
In like a week.
It didn't even exist. And all of a sudden we have 202 training that tells people talking points that you served them up with, David. The one that ran yesterday, that's how do you talk to someone at a door?
Yeah.
How do you break away from those conversations?
Yep.
These are all things that the money has had to pivot and we've had to spend on these things to get ourselves ready for this new voter base that we weren't talking to.
That's amazing that you've done that too. Like, this is what I mean when I talk about why I feel so good about asking people for funds for fieldwork, is because I know that you're going to take care of people.
Yes.
You are.
Yep.
And when you look on the YouTube videos, I upload the podcast every day, and I can see how many people have viewed different things. That one panel that you all did on like talking across to different voters or something that you sprung 500 plus views.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, on there. And so everybody, like, we don't hand you a clipboard.
No.
And say, hey, thanks for coming to Tucson.
Right.
We'll see ya. Okay.
Yeah.
We get you ready. We get you ready.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay.
So and then in here there's shout out to the operations team that does a bunch of good work.
Yeah. CP Future.
Yep. I'm gonna just call them the Academy because everyone knows them as Action Academy.
Fair enough.
The Institute is all in here, and the cool thing about all of this is that these people they're flowing in. They're flowing into all of these spaces here to help out. The ops team is actually going to go to Ohio here in about a week or two. So there's nobody at Common Power who only keeps their head down and does this job. Every single person at CP knocks doors. Okay. Bring us in.
Binh.
Yeah.
Anything.
Where do you want
You said it's good. So I want to walk through it one more time. Okay. A volunteer comes and they say, I want you to point to where we're going to go. So I'm a volunteer. I'm David. Hey, I'm really interested in Common Power.
go? Okay, excellent. Why don't you go attend one of our trainings to figure out what is it that you want to do, right?
Okay.
We have one-on-one all the way.
I'm kind of busy. Do you have them at a lot of different times, or?
Yeah, we have it all recorded actually on our
Really?
training page. So it doesn't matter if you can make a live session or not.
Oh, nice.
You can just watch it all.
Okay, all right. Okay. Well, I think, great. I'll go to the training. Now what happens after the training?
Yeah, so after the training, you can decide, hey, are you a person that wants to travel?
I
Yes or
do.
No? You want to travel? Okay.
Yeah, I want to go to Michigan, the greatest state.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah,
Did you grow up there?
I did.
Cool.
Okay, move along. Move along.
Okay, so you definitely want to go to teams right here.
I'm in Michigan.
Yeah, Team Michigan.
We
Sign
call
up for
it
that.
Michigan.
Michigan. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Michigan. You want
Yes.
to go there? Okay,
Yes.
cool. Sign up for Team Michigan, and then go ahead and your team leads will reach out to you. You might find food there. You might go back to some trainings while you're on your way.
Okay.
You might even want to do some postcarding with your friends while you wait to travel.
Yeah, I got some
Yeah.
folks that I know pretty well that would love to send postcards.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So form a little squad. Get yourself ready. Get on a plane with teams, and then hop off.
Okay, so now imagine, great, thank you so much. Now imagine I'm a team lead, and I'm like, hey, I want to be a team lead, but do I have to pay for my cost to travel, or like, how is it going to work?
You want to be a team lead, but you want to travel as a volunteer?
No, now I'm a team lead.
Oh, now you're a team lead.
Yeah,
Okay.
I want to show how this works right here.
Oh, got it. Okay, makes sense.
So I'm a
Okay.
team lead. I'm going to go to Michigan and be one of the team leads.
Okay.
How do you fund me for this?
Yeah, okay, so two things. One, we fund you for your labor of leading a team.
Okay.
So we have stipends for every month.
Really?
As you're leading a team, right? It starts in July, it'll end at the end of November. So when you're leading that team, that's your stipend. And then we'll pay fully for your cost to travel to the state that you're leading. So hotel, lodging, flights, transportation, meals on the ground, got you all covered. And then, however, if you want to volunteer in another state, right, we'll sponsor you too, because we know you're an asset on the ground because you went through team lead training.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So this sounds a little bit pricey, all of this, right? So why don't you just, I want to go back to this one more time. Why don't you just say, you know what, David, we'd love to have you be a team lead.
Yeah.
Can you just do that on your own?
Yeah. So we actually
Because
offer.
I'm imagining now I'm gonna take on the donor mindset a little
Got
bit.
it,
Okay,
okay.
Look, we can't afford to pay all these team leads. All right, or that's a lot of money. Or why do you buy food for everybody on the ground? Okay.
Okay.
Yes, it's because if people have to pay their own way, you only get one kind of team
Yeah.
lead. You don't get a young college student who's going to be
Yep.
your team lead.
Okay.
You don't get a K through 12 teacher who's going to take a weekend off of school or 4 days and come and do some work.
Okay.
You only get the people who can pay their own way. And then you only get one type of organization. You don't get a diverse set of views.
Yeah.
You don't get perspective from people who are from the communities that we knock on doors in. You lose all of that enrichment.
Yeah.
That's go ahead, Penny.
Oh, and also, even if you do get a team lead, you may only get them once. Because they may only have enough to travel one time, instead of all the times when we need to go out to that state to win.
That's right.
Yeah.
So there's the relationships that they build, the team leads build with the partners on the ground, the consistency of that. There's a consistency of experience to the volunteers. So now they have somebody who knows what's going on in that state and feels confident about it. And then there's the building a community of because it's trust. And we're building trust between us and the partners on the ground and the builders, but also with each other. So we need somebody who's going to be there and come again and again and again and again. And not just for an election season or for this final stretch, but also for the next one, for next year, for 2025 and 2026.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I will have a closing thought for the podcast. Anything else you want to say about this? Ben, I did actually want to ask you one question, Ben.
Sure.
So I'd ask you to be kind of candid with us. What's been the toughest thing for you in in becoming this leader, this person, right? Like this journey for all this stuff. What's been a challenging piece for you?
I thought you were gonna ask about what's the most challenging about the system, but it is about myself personally. I would say to do the double looking of one, I have never managed people before CP, right?
Okay.
I've never done this before, but it's like the idea of I know how to do it without having done it before. Is the understanding of that, right? I think, Charles, you and I talk about this a lot, which is what are the skills that are needed to make this successful?
Right.
What are the things that you need to see and to plan for and to intentionally not plan for? And then what is it like to build something and keep building something knowing that it will never be something you've done before?
Yeah.
Right? And to be able...
Because to be fair, common power is not something that you and I had ever done before either.
Yeah.
No.
So there shouldn't be a thought that because somebody has never done something that they shouldn't do it. It's actually the opposite.
Yes. Yeah.
We need more people trying to do things that they haven't done before.
But coming out of the academia space, where it's no, you gain experience by doing something that you've done before again and again and again and again, right? And that's how you gain expertise in something.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of reframing what is my expertise in doing this, and then how do I, someone who is incredibly young relatively, right, turn around and carry all of these other people who are younger than me even on the same journey. So it's both a laser focus into my development and also turning around that really quickly as development lessons for people who are under me. Yeah.
And the people, to speak candidly to all of the volunteers and people that provide this funds or are part of our volunteer group, we have to follow. We have to follow, and that's a choice. All right. When you get to be 50 years old or 55 years old, you don't always have to follow. You actually, if you have a certain level of affluence, you can say, I'm not going to follow. I'm not. I'm just going to go my own way. But you don't get this right here. We don't get this unless we decide that we're going to make a commitment outside of a box. It is not a box that we are familiar with. This is brand new, right? And Ben, your ability to lead, Charles, your senior leadership of the whole organization, your constant visioning, my relentless asking of support, right? That's how it works.
It is. It is.
And we can say we want an interracial, intergenerational America, but unless we're willing to do these things, we don't get there.
And the thing that it takes is it takes giving something up. It takes not being comfortable, and it takes stretching. That's what it takes. When you decided to do this work, when I decided to do this work, it was a stretch.
Yeah.
We weren't comfortable with it. We didn't know exactly what we were doing, but we stretched and we gave a lot. Our families gave a lot.
Yeah.
Even now, I'm traveling every weekend. My family's, paying some of that price, and they're stretching for that. And the same with our volunteers. I tell them when they're on the ground, you're giving a lot. You're stretching for this, to be out here. Your careers, your families, all this stuff. So that's what we're asking you to do. We're asking you to meet us at our stretch. How many days left? 20 days? 19 days?
Less,
something like that.
21 from Tuesday, so 19.
Okay, we're at 19 days.
Yeah.
This is the most that we're going to stretch this year, and the most we've ever stretched as an organization. We've never traveled this much. Last presidential was all COVID. So this is the most in-person we've ever done, the most people we've ever moved around. And when you move people and when you stretch this hard for someone like Kamala Harris, it takes a lot of stretch.
Yeah. Yeah. So the podcast for the rest of this window, but till the election, are going to be under what we're calling a season of the final stretch. We're also going to do a series of Zoom events where we prepare our community during this window for what comes the day after the election. All right, because that's what leadership does.
Yeah.
Right, we prepare people. So we've been talking about that. We're going to have some more conversation about that. But we are going to be ready for that. We will not be ill prepared for that. Okay. So this final stretch is about the campaign. It's about our finances. It's about all of us giving everything we've got. This is what we are. Right. This is what Common Power is.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's get to work.
Let's go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's do it.